There's a destiny on your life. And you gotta find a way to tell obstacles to just move. Because when you become great at what you do, you become rare. Those that build generational wealth buy luxuries last. And you have to be more loyal to your future than you are to your past.
So I want to introduce Humble Lukanga. We're very honored for him to be here, to break bread with us. Very, very special guest. I want to read his background so I don't get anything wrong here. Humble is the founder and CEO of Lifeline, a multi-family office serving leaders in sports, entertainment, and business. Some of his clients include Emmy-nominated actress Issa Rae, NFL Super Bowl champion Bobby Wagner, DeAndre Hopkins. I've heard his list of people trying to get, managing money is like 50 people deep, so manage a lot of people. Humble is a graduate of the University of New Mexico with a bachelor's degree in business management and a master's degree in business administration. He currently serves on the board of trustees at the University of New Mexico Foundation. He was born in Masaka, a small village in Uganda, where he spent the first decade of his life enduring genocide, famine, and extreme poverty. At the age of 11, he and his family were granted a political asylum, allowing him to come to the US to seek refuge, landing in Denver, Colorado. Humble is passionate about social entrepreneurship, financial literacy, freedom, and the orphans of Uganda. He's a philanthropist, teacher, and self-proclaimed ambassador of hope. He has come far from the slums of Masaka, Uganda, and he continues to inspire along the way and winning countless awards and honors. So without further ado, take it away.
Wow. Wow, before you start, it's very important for me to pay homage and my respect to the room. So if you can just help me, can everybody just stand up real quick? I want to stand up with you. I'm really grateful for everybody in this room. And so I want to set the energy because we all came here collectively to get something out of this. And the fact that you all made it means the world to me. And I hope I'm prepared enough to share something that you could take home with you. But before I do that, man, can I just trust me on this one? Can I get everybody's right hand and just to touch your heart? And just feel that heartbeat in your heart. Just feel it. Especially in these uncertain times. We don't know what tomorrow is gonna bring, okay? Trust me on this one. And then the next thing is, can you just close your eyes for like just a few seconds? Just close it. And just hear that heartbeat in your heart. You are here. You've made time for this moment. You've left your families, your loved ones. You've been going through a lot in 2023. Ups, downs. Some of you are here in the midst of a storm, but you still found time to be here with us. Just focus on that heartbeat and just know that we are alive. Let's make tonight count. I'm here to serve, and I'm grateful that you guys are all here. Let's do it.
Let's get it. All right, Humble, I'm going to say this now. I think we got to do that before every breaking bread. My heartbeat was bumping up there. But
yeah.
Again, thank you again for taking the time for being here today. And your journey is truly inspiring. And so when you decided to be here, I know I can speak for Kenny and I in Austin. We were like, hell yeah, Humble's the man. And so his background, what he just shared, trust me, this man is a hitter. But on a more funnier note, in our prep calls, you mentioned that you're a big fan of Top Boy.
Yeah, I am.
So are you Team Deshane or Team Sully?
God, that's a great question. I would probably say neither.
Yeah?
Yeah, though I love them both. I'm probably the... God, that's a tough question. I'm probably I think the youngin.
Yeah.
That got
Jax?
Jax. I'm probably more Jax.
First of all, Jax
this
did it.
can't
You
run.
know Jax
I
did
think
it.
Jax did it. I'm probably more him. I gotta get this right from my brother.
All right, let's get into it. So Humble, looking through your background, Uganda, Denver, University of New Mexico. When you think of being the #1 sports and agent, business manager is probably not the background that people traditionally think of. Give us a little bit more about your background and kind of tell us how you defied the odds.
God, man, God, that's a powerful question. And it's hard for me because when I think about my journey, I got to relive it. And that's why I do very, very, very few interviews because I don't want to relive it. But the honest truth is, my name is Humble Lukanga. I'm born and raised in Uganda, East Africa. I grew up in a mud hut the size of your bathroom. No electricity, nor indoor plumbing, in deep, deep third world poverty. I didn't get my first pair of shoes until I was 11. My father and my mother, and God bless their souls because they passed, they grew up in Idi Amin's regime. I don't know if you guys know who Idi Amin is, but he was one of the worst dictators that's ever lived. They did a film on him called The Last King of Scotland. And if you want to watch it, I mean, he was, to this day, we still call him the butcher of Uganda because at the height of his power, he killed over 500,000 Ugandans. So my father has 10 siblings, 9 are deceased. My mother's going through the same fate. We were born at the end of his regime, but having to live through the ramifications of like the destruction he had on the country. At the time, 3 or 4 kids are dying because the living conditions are killing everybody. Polio, famine, you name it. So my own, with my own siblings, there were 4 of us. Both of my sisters died before the age of 7 from malaria, polio. So it was a very, very tough time. And my father, God bless his soul, man, he had this faith of a mustard seed where he fought to get us a political asylum. He would write a letter every day begging for political asylum. And when I was 11 years old, that dream came true. And I landed in Denver, Colorado, like you mentioned. Can you imagine? I had never seen snow, let alone white people. I'm like, shit, everything is white in here. But, and America was a crazy place to come because, there was this juxtaposition because on one hand, I had this deep, deep gratitude that I will live to see 21. That was my goal. I just wanted to see 21. To this day, 80% of the Ugandan population is under the age of 40. 50% is under the age of 15. That's how many orphans they are. So I had never seen anybody grow old. So when I got here, I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna see 21. That's all I wanted. And my mother cleaned people's homes. That's it, put food on the table, and my father was a janitor. And I'm gonna speed this up because I really wanna get into what I came here for you all. But when you come to America, it's a crazy place because when I got here, the white kids really didn't fuck with me because I was black. But the black people didn't really fuck with me because I was African. I was like, what the hell is going on out here? But I ended up, I was this kid with this opportunity, and I was so lucky because by the time I was in 8th grade, I had caught up to my peers, right? I understood that I got a brain that can work. But my freshman year, sophomore year, my mother has a stroke. And the stroke is so severe, like it took everything from her. She couldn't walk, couldn't talk, you name it. The doctors gave her 6 months to live. And they told my father, you better get your affairs in order because the stroke is so bad that the next step for her is her going to comas. So he sat me down, he says, Humble. By the way, Humble is my real name. I don't have a rap album coming. It's my real name. He said, Humble, man, I'm gonna take care of your mother for this next 6 to 8 months, but you gotta take over the cleaning shifts at night because he was a janitor. So my whole high school career, I cleaned. I would go to school all day, clean all night.
Can I ask really quickly,
Yeah.
like as a high school student, like somebody giving you that burden, like you're not that burden, but like that, to do that
Yeah.
while your other classmates probably are living a different life, like what was that?
Oh, it was it was unbelievable. It was a duty to serve my father and my family, but you gotta imagine, I'm a kid, so on one hand, my mother's dying, who's the most important person in my life, but on the other hand, I gotta go make sure that we have a roof over our head. So it was extremely tough because all your friends are at a high school, they're playing a high school sport, or they're at the movie theater with the girl that they like, or they're at a house party, and you're in pain every day, But in my mind, though, coming from where I come from, I never took it as if I didn't need no woes on me. I just realized that like I'm still better off than everybody I grew up with. You know what I mean? So I cannot complain. I gotta just get this thing done. Make a long story short, my mother fought hard through my father's love, through God's grace. She got to see me graduate high school, got to see me take off to go to the university. But then when I got there, she eventually passed away. And in my culture, we wanted to bury her back home so she could rest with her ancestors. And en route to bury my mother, my father had a heart attack and he passed away. So I ended up having to bury both parents at relatively the same time, So at that point, I'm like, man, the biggest fight at that point was like, man, keeping your faith, staying strong, because man, you just lost your entire immediate family at that point. But I never, to close it out to the next question, is my heart was shattered, like you couldn't believe, like pieces of my heart everywhere. But I'm grateful to God that my spirit was never broken, and I think that's the reason why I can hold this mic today.
You mentioned, and go ahead, please. In a few of your interviews, you've mentioned like this mindset of like poverty stops with me. I would love for you to like kind of like tap into like what is that? What is the meaning behind when you say like poverty ends with me, and how did that lead your journey to now being the CEO of Lifeline Financial?
Yeah, what's crazy? And that's an amazing question. What's crazy is when I was in Uganda as a kid, I never thought I was poor because we all grew up in the same environment. So we all don't have nothing to eat. We all don't have shoes. We all are growing up in this village, right? So we had this like connection, this community where it was like, if your crops come in and mine don't, we'll just share. So I never felt poverty when I was in Uganda. When I got to America, I realized, oh, this shit is systematically set up, to where like you don't you can feel the lack of, right? And I remember cleaning toilets at night when my friends went out to parties, and I used to be like, ain't no way. And then my father would tell me, hey, when you're cleaning, this was Applebee's, like Bennigan's, Golden Corral. To this day, if I see any of those 3 restaurants, I just throw up in my car. And my father would tell me, by the way, you can't get caught cleaning because you're underage. If they catch you cleaning, we're gonna lose everything. So I would watch these supervisors park their cars, and when you clean it at night, like around 11 p.m., 12 p.m., you can see the lights in the windows. So I would run in the bathrooms and hide in the bathrooms. Now, obviously, they didn't give a damn about their jobs. They're just coming in to just check on it and then get out of there. And I realized, I said, God, man, this shit has to end with me. Like this curse of poverty has to end with me. Because I couldn't imagine one day, and I got 3 boys now, it's like, I couldn't imagine one day having a family and they're cleaning toilets at night. It has to end with me. And I made a pledge to myself, like, I'm gonna do everything in my power where this curse of poverty ends with me. And so the few things I said, you know what? And I joke with Tony, right? Tony, put your hand in the air. Tony, that's my right hand. We've been through all that shit together. And I would say to myself, I said, you know what? I'm not going to go to any club, drink any alcohol, get distracted, lose sight of my goals. I'm not going to do anything that can deter me from my destiny until I can log into my account and see $1 million liquid. Because if I can log into my account and see $1 million liquid, that means I probably made 2.5. So to your question, I didn't when I was in college, when I was doing I never ever got distracted. And then luckily, when I was 28 years old, I was lucky to have a glass of wine.
Well deserved. So, given your background, cleaning up, how did the idea for financial literacy, business management come to you, and overall your enterprise of Lifeline Financial Group?
Man, and I think a lot of people who have retained whatever people think success is. And by the way, I want to caution you guys to not chase success. It's a race that only the blind run. What I would urge you to do is chase fulfillment. You know what I mean? Because what happens with success is the more success you have, the more successful people you meet. The more successful people you meet, the less successful you feel. So it's bullshit. But I think fulfillment is a yes or no proposition. Like when you wake up in the morning, are you fulfilled? In your work, in your personal relationships, in your life, are you fulfilled? I think if you chase fulfillment, you would find yourself somewhere worth going, right? So I wanted to caveat that. But to answer your question, I remember going to, and man, he was a great man. He was my high school principal. And at the time, the great John Buckner, at the time, this man was like, he looked like me. He was tall, he was handsome. He drove this black Benz in my high school, had a little earring. He was a bad boy. And so I'm like, surely he knows how to help me with this poverty thing. So I went up to him, I said, hey, how do I change the curse of poverty for my family? And this is why it's so important for mentorship. And the great John Buckner said, he just started laughing at me like, what is this little 50-year-old kid talking about, I'm gonna end the curse of poverty. But he helped me because he introduced me to Warren Buffett's work. He introduced me to this book that changed my life. If you haven't read it, I give it out like gum. It's Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Because what's stopping any of us from accomplishing what we're destined to be is our mindset and what we believe about ourselves. And so from there, I fell in love with finance. And when I got to college, after burying my parents, I read this article that said 78% of our professional athletes were going broke 2 to 3 years after they retired. And it broke my heart because these men had an amazing opportunity to change the curse of poverty for their families, right? And I became obsessed with it because everything that I read was so disrespectful towards them, where they're negligent, they're undisciplined, they're not intelligent, but it didn't make sense to me because they all had these financial advisors and these agents and everything. And then I dug into, our entertainers. The same thing was happening. And it was so despicable that they had TV shows to show their climb and their fall, and they all look like me. So in that moment, this love of finance that the great John Buckner introduced me to found its purpose. And from that moment, 16 years later, I've never stopped serving our people.
Quick follow-up. What gave you the audacity to think that you could be the one to do it, to kind of change that curse of poverty, not only for your family, but for these athletes, these entertainers and whatnot?
God, that's a great question. The audacity came from, I'm a big believer, man, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And I think a lot of people want to walk around showing people how much they know. Nobody cares about that. But I think if people know that you love them and you will die for them, and you're gonna protect them, and you're gonna fight for them. I would rather be in a foxhole with that person all day versus the guy that went to Yale. So the audacity for me came that I knew my heart was in the right place. I prayed on it. I knew that God had taken my entire family but left me alive to make this mission come to fruition. So, another thing though is like, hey, when you're young, I was 20. I'm 37 now. When you're young, you're 20 years old. You have no idea what the fuck you're up against. So I think it's that not knowing that makes you not afraid. You know what I mean? So it's a bunch of that youthful hubris as well. Like, I'm gonna change the world. A little that and God's grace, you know.
So follow up to Kenny's question. So in the past, agents have represented a majority of athletes on and off the field's endeavors. Now we're seeing athletes represent themselves, but working with wealth managers like yourself. In the future, how do you see agents and wealth managers working hand in hand?
How do I say something where Tony ain't gonna be mad at me tomorrow morning?
I think we got agents in the room too.
I do believe in my heart of hearts that the system that is currently in place does not care about my community. I will die with that in my heart. And what do I mean by that? 8 out of 10 of these incredible, I call them renegades. They work their entire lives to become in the NFL or the NBA. But 8 out of 10 of them end up in worse situations than they started, no matter how much money they made. But if you look at the ecosystem around them, the agents, the financial advisor, they don't look like us. It's less than 1% of us representing our people. And I always wonder, I'm like, damn, you didn't grow up in our churches. You didn't grow up in our neighborhoods. You didn't grow up in our community centers. How come now when, I'm using the name, how come now when Kyrie has a 40-inch vertical, now you show up? Are you really here to help us? Or are you really here to colonize? And I think when we wake up and we realize that the answers we need are right here, that's when those stats will change. So for me, what's my responsibility? Me, my team, what's our responsibility? To educate these great young kings to understand that you're brilliant. Like, you're not some like jock, and you can negotiate your own contract if you choose to. Right? If you choose to, because if you don't have the right people around you where you feel you can trust them, where you feel like they care about you, if you feel like they're empowering you, you don't we are alive in the information age. And so what ends up happening for us at Lifeline is we get a lot of backlash for empowering these black men, and I wonder why. I wonder why. Because the first rule was, these niggas can't read. Take the books. Take the books. You can't let them read. You can't let them read. So now we're letting them read. And I'm proud to say that, our guys are negotiated probably over $600 million in their own contracts. That's powerful.
Quick follow-up. So then do you think there are certain athletes that should negotiate their own contracts, and then obviously there are certain athletes that probably could benefit from having an agent or a business manager like yourself?
I think you should.
Case-by-case basis.
I think, so I'm gonna answer this question this way. So I got, so my oldest is 8 years old, and so I drive all the way to Tarzana so he can have a black pediatrician. So my thing is, it's 2023. Black excellence is everywhere. So if you want representation, you can't tell me that this person is not gonna look better, who looks like you is not gonna take care of you better than them. Because we've seen for 75 years what them look like. We got the stats. You guys represented all of us for 75 years. 80% of us are broke. So what I'm trying to understand is, how in 2023 can't you find a black agent or a black lawyer, or a black pediatrician, or a black dentist, or a black PR, or a black marketing agent. Like, why do we always have to look outside of ourselves? That's the fight I'm after. How come you can't find a black wealth manager? You think they're gonna understand you better than me? The pain, what you come from, the neighborhood, being black in America? Of course not. So for me, we have to really learn how to just trust ourselves and understand that whatever professional person you need is around you. You just gotta give them a chance. You know, and that's been, honestly, that's the totality of my career is people gave me a chance to show that I'm the best, regardless of color, regardless of college, whatever the case may be. They gave me a chance. And so I just think that I would rather see our athletes, our entertainers work with the brightest of their own because you just understand them differently. And what's that thing, Einstein, if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, how can you expect a different result? It's time to trust your own people, is what I feel.
So if you could speak a little bit on that too. So like a typical athlete has their agent, their business manager, they got the stylist, they got the PR, they got the marketing, the whole team. You know, how does Humble Lukanga, how does Lifeline Financial work alongside of their team to make sure that this athlete or this entertainer is in the best position financially to create financial wealth for their family and moving forward?
Yeah, I think so we come in with one mission, and that mission is to build generational wealth. So what does that really mean? That means we got to protect you, we got to grow that wealth, we got to educate you, and eventually we got to transfer that wealth. So that's our mission. And whoever said after entertainer trusts, let's all come together, but let's put together a budget and a plan to where that happens. Like Lifeline is going to be judged based on, did we build generational wealth? And so a lot of that time too, because of how the entertainers are different than the athletes, because the entertainers, they come up where nobody's giving you free acting lessons. Nobody's giving you free voice lessons. No one is giving you free piano or guitar lessons. But the athletes are completely different. They come up to where everything is free. So, yeah, everything is free. So you gotta train the athletes to understand the difference between price and cost. If you say I don't want to do this, if you cut the price, what is that going to cost you? Because man, great people come with a cost, right? And so, but on the entertainment side, they're usually older when they hit, so they understand the significance of just having a great team and how to take care of the people that are around you. But when you think about an athlete's team, I think the most important thing, and it depends on what level you're at. Have a great wealth manager who can help you every single day. And then two, have a great agent who's gonna help you on the field. I think as your star rises, it's important to have a great PR person. I think it's powerful to have a great marketing agent. And I think it's great to have a great lawyer. But what happens is, as an athlete, none of those things matter if you don't perform. You don't need PR if you're not performing. You know what I'm saying? So the key is just okay, these are the scopes of what you need, but at what time do we implement what you need in your journey to where you're going? That makes sense?
Makes absolute sense. It's almost like they're a startup. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You can't hire the CFO right away.
Exactly. Facts.
Yeah.
So you kind of talked a little bit about race a little bit earlier. Now we've seen, like Jalen Hurts, his team, he's got black PR, black agent, publicist, everything, stylist. Does that make your life easier compared to when you first started 10, 15 years ago?
Nah, hell no. Hell no. So here's my thing. and I'm trying to be as honest as I possibly can be in this room, and whatever that's going to mean for me tomorrow. But but let me answer your question this way. I deeply have more respect for Jalen Hurts or these women, these men that are Black Americans and what they've been able to achieve than what I have of my own success.
Tell me more.
And here's why. I grew up in extreme poverty. You guys know my story. I've lost everybody. But everybody looked like me. So we were in it together. It was a community. If she's older, you call her auntie. If he's older, you call her uncle. And they can whoop your ass just like your mom can whoop your ass. So you grew up like it's literally raised by a village. When it came to America, man, I was like, wow, like the systemic, like the racism, the prejudice, like laws that are enacted to keep people from succeeding. I mean, it's all a part of this plan. You can't own land. You're not a human being. All these things. So imagine overcoming 400 years of this mental, like, genocide to then find worth in who you are, to then find worth when they're telling you every single day, you're nobody. You're not even a person. Like, I'm so proud of Jalen Hurts. I'm so proud of these people because for them to still choose Lifeline to be their wealth managers when they grew up in America, you know how strong they have to be? Because when you come from Africa, like, you don't have that. You have poverty, you have that, but you don't have to reprogram your self-worth. So it's not by accident, and I'm just being honest with this room, it's not by accident that the first Black president is African, because he doesn't have the same work to do than somebody who was born here and had to deal with this shit since the day they were born. So I love what Jalen is doing. And it just impresses me so much because how did he get that fortitude to find worth in himself when the day he was born, they told him he was nothing? And to be strong enough to then empower other people who look like him. I mean, to me, like, I'm so proud of him, you know? And so in the seat that I sit in, the reason why I'm always saying, hey, we all have to come together is because all the answers are in this community. And when I see people picking community first, when this country told them they don't belong, it's incredible to me.
Yeah, so just to double tap on that one more time. So, like, compared to like when you started 10, 15 years ago, when you go out and recruit guys, whether it's Kayvon Thibodeau, Jalen Hurts, XYZ, is it easier for you stepping into the room now compared to when you started?
I think, you know, it's a crazy industry because no matter what you do, they always question your intelligence. So the mission of your life has to be stronger than the heartbreaks you're going to experience. I want to say that one more time. Whatever you do, they're going to fucking question your intelligence. It doesn't matter it doesn't matter where you go. So the mission, the destiny of your life has to be stronger than the heartbreaks you're going to experience. This shit breaks your heart, man. Oh my God, it breaks your heart because when I walk into that room and it's me and it's Tone, it's our team, there's nobody that can tell me we're not the best team for that young Black king or that young Black queen. Nobody can tell me that. But it's like I always joke, you can't sign Peyton Manning because you're Black. And you fucking can't sign Cam Newton because you're Black. It's ridiculous. So I think it's very important. I don't want to spend the whole time talking about my career, but I think I want to share things like, I think it's very important for everybody who's here tonight. There's a destiny on your life. I'm talking about a destiny in your life. And the doors of your life, only you can open. It's not like if you don't open them, somebody else opens them. No, they just stay locked for eternity. And you gotta find a way to tell obstacles to just move. You ever been bothered in an airport or something like, you move. Tell these motherfucking obstacles just to move. Does that make sense? Because they're just in the way. They're not real things. Oh, you didn't go to this school. Oh, you're a black woman. You wear your hair like this. You're African. You're an immigrant. You come from nothing. You don't know what. How do you know? How can you manage first world opulence when you come from third world destruction? Obstacles move. It's not a real thing. Does that make sense? And so, and they make it. It's going to be hard. Right? It's going to be hard, and none of it is your fault. And that's the hardest shit to like reconcile with. When it's just you and your thoughts at night, it's just hard for no reason. You go to work and they make it hard for no reason. They make it, but just understand, there's a destiny in your life. There's a destiny. So are you willing to just chase that mission? No matter how many heartbreaks. And I hate it has to be this way, but it is this way.
100%. And so as you think about those heartbreaks and like your mission and how you were building up Lifeline, you would later walk on to work with Issa Rae at the beginning of her career. What did you see in each other that started off this meteoric partnership?
Oh, Issa. Great question. So, how can I be as honest as I possibly can? I think what happens is, okay, let me take a step back. What happens is, people always ask me, okay, you met Issa 15 years ago. You guys started together. You built this thing together. Me and a bunch of other day ones. I represent all the day ones. But have you ever seen the sun in the morning? Have you ever seen it? Do you ever question if the sun is shining? Have you ever woke up in the morning and be like, I wonder where the sun is? I'm trying to find the sun. Like, she's the sun. Like, it's like you don't help the sun shine. You protect the sun from the jealous clouds.
You gotta say that again.
It's like,
You heard that.
It's too much credit. People are like, when you and Issa, bro, she is the sun. She rises, she sets. Have you ever woken up in your day like, where's the sun? Is the sun out? Is it? No, it's the sun. It's gonna rise and set. So when you're lucky enough to be around someone like Issa, who's the sun, my job was to protect her from the jealous clouds. Okay, so who are the jealous clouds? The naysayers. Oh, you can't be, you dark-skinned from black girl. You can't write, direct, star, and build a fucking media empire. Jealous clouds. Nah, back then, it was only, no disrespect, it was only white women and light-skinned women. If you were a dark-skinned black girl, you had to be a crackhead, a prostitute, or somebody's girlfriend. You were not leading television. Jealous clouds. We had no money, we couldn't get financing, jealous clouds. So the only thing I'm proud of to see who she's become is that I was lucky enough to be a part of other day ones who've been with us since day one, And we just kept those jealous clouds from her so everybody can see what we saw. That make sense? So I can't take credit for what God created. What? Yo, what they say, God spent 6 days creating the world and then he rested on the seventh? He took 2 weeks on her, for sure. And no days off. No days off. So that's the only thing I take credit for, is I never allowed jealous clouds to stop that sun from shining.
Yeah, so to follow up on that, obviously you work with a lot of talented people. Issa right up there. So from the Hollywood Reporter confirms that you have a 6-month waiting list. What's your criteria for building wealth with people?
Oh my God, you dug deep in your research. So the 6-month like waiting list came from this anxiety that I was having, because they build you up to kill you. So I'm telling you, if you're a person of color, listen like closely to the criticism because it'll help you, but stay away from the praise because it'll hurt you.
Too much.
Listen, I'm gonna say that again. I know we're in LA and everybody cool, but you gotta listen to these fucking gems. If you're a person of color building something of significance, listen closely to the criticism because that will help you. Stay away from the praise. It's gonna hurt you because they build you up only to kill you. And if you're lucky enough to build something that what they deem is big enough to kill, prepare to turn yourself into a villain, because now they want to kill you. They're like, you know what? Well, he got further than we thought he was gonna get, right? So the 6-month waiting list was this like humility where we said, hey, we can only do the best of our job like 2 clients at a time. You know, I remember going to Japan and with a client of mine, and his name is Ariel Foster, and he's a big sushi person, and there was this like restaurant he wanted to go to that was like a 2-year waiting list. We get there, we fought to get reservations, and then we get there, and it's still a 2-mile like waiting list. Waiting line. Like, we got reservations, we still can't get in. Then I realized once we finally got in over 2 hours that this sushi chef had spent his entire life being the best. But his station was small. It was only 8 seats. 2, 2, 2, and 2. And he realized, man, like, for me to keep my reputation, I can only do 8 at a time. So either you care about my craft or you go somewhere else. But what I'm not gonna do is try to serve 10 or 15 and 20, and you're gonna talk bad about me. Oh, humble, life, man, you know what I mean? So I realized, okay, with my team, me, DB, put your hand in the air, by the way, Oakland's finest, me, DB, and the 50 people that work with us was like, okay, well, how many clients can we make happy at a time? All right, that's the number. And we're hoping that everybody else would just give us a chance to onboard them so they can all have the same experience. Does that make sense? Because if you don't do it that way, then you're gonna lose anyway.
So then if Beyonce comes tomorrow and says, Humble, what's up?
Well, that waiting list getting changed, ain't it? That shit getting changed, ain't it? There's rules to every exception. That's getting changed for sure. Beyonce ended up being a 24-hour waiting list. And that's if it's on a Sunday.
Okay, so I think
there's an exception to every rule.
So I think we talk about you being the business manager. One thing I think you don't get credit enough for is building out the team. So like you said, Dave, Tony, talk about being an owner, right? And being a great owner versus just being a great business manager.
God, that's great. So as a founder I remember like 16, 17 years ago where it's just me with this dream. And at the time, my parents are dead, my siblings are dead, so I have this dream and I know there's a mission on my life that God kept me alive, but I'm trying to figure out how can I execute it. Now, at the time, this is 2007, 2008, where the markets are crashing. And I realized, well, the real estate is going down, everything is going down. And I realized, man, these guys were criminals. They were making up the whole. So I was like, I can't work for criminals. I got to start my own firm. But I'm like, well, how do I start my own firm? So I decided, I was like, man, I gotta do it on credit card debt. So I went into credit card debt. I slept in buses, airports, whatever it took for this dream to come true. And what happens though in life, man, and I want you guys to listen to this. What happens though in life is, the more you push, good people will come help you push too. And the metaphor I use is, have you ever been, you see somebody's car has died, they get out the car, they start pushing that car. What happens? People start to pull over. Now it's 2 people pushing that car, 4 people pushing that car. But why are these people pushing that car? It's because they saw that person pushing too. They saw them pushing first. And so I've been so lucky that I've been pushing this thing when the car had no gas. and so all these amazing people came and they started to help me push. But no one's gonna help you if you're not helping yourself. You know, and what I want to say tonight is, like, you can accomplish anything in your life if you have an honest mirror. Your mirror has to be honest, man. You know how many people I know that just lie to themselves? Yeah, I'm working hard. Yeah, okay. Oh, I'm pushing my car. Yeah, okay. But if you know in your heart of hearts, man, that you're waking up every single day and you got that discipline in your heart and you pushing that car, good people help you push. So now we're up to about, man, almost 60 people who are helping me push this car. 70% of them are black women, which I'm proud of. And so to answer your question, it's just that I just think that if you just get out that car, no matter when it breaks down on you, metaphorically speaking, and you keep pushing it, I think the universe will take care of the rest. It's just that most people don't push the car; they stop.
What has been kind of the craziest or the wildest shit you've seen from like an athlete, an entertainer, where you're like, bro, like that G-Wagon, you don't need that, or that, you know what I mean, Bugatti, whatever, and how have those conversations kind of transformed the relationship you have with them? That honesty.
It depends. Like, I think I manage finances from a behavioral perspective. And we all in here come from a lot of trauma, a lot of pain. We come from neighborhoods or communities or even countries where we're not supposed to be here. So the key is you gotta understand why that particular person is making the decisions that they're making. And you have to know them well enough to have empathy. So for me, I want you to have that Ferrari. I want you to have that Bugatti. I want you to have whatever you want that makes you feel like you have arrived because it took so much from you. So what I'm focused on is when. When. I think those that build generational wealth and those that squander it, it's not because they have luxuries. I think it's when they buy them. Those that build generational wealth buy luxuries last. Those that squander it, they buy them first. So we have a client, Tony and I, who had a birthday, and he was like, yo, I'm buying this $400,000 Lamborghini. I wasn't mad. He bought that last. He bought it last. He didn't buy it first. So I want you to have, by the way, I want everybody, you have to think this way. Now, by the way, I don't know what anybody believes, but it's what I believe. But do you think that the same God that made the mountains, made the oceans, made the sunrise, made the sunsets, who made all the mammals in the world, who made everything that you love possible, do you think he ran out of magic when he came to you? He got to you and just got tired? Like, nah. I don't believe that. I believe we all have something special in us. We just have to go get it. And we have to also believe through our generational trauma that we are deserving of it. And a lot of people don't feel deserving of certain things. So I can't talk to a young man and say, you want that Bugatti? Say no more. But let me help you get there to where you're buying it with your interest and not buying it with your principle. Because I want you to have it too. And so I manage wealth from behavior, from empathy, from generational trauma. And I think we can all get what we want out of life if we give time.
I dig that. I'm just gonna say I'm gonna need to talk to you because I need to get this this Aston Martin. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, we'll put a plan together.
no, but thank you so much. I know we're gonna jump into Q&A, but thank you, Humble. Appreciate it. Give it up. Give it up.
So if anyone has a question, stand up, say your name, where you're from, and then I'll be running it to you. Any questions?
You gotta get the suit ready.
Sorry, man, fresh out of work. How's everyone doing? My name is Trail. I really don't have a question. I really want to talk to you about mentorship. So I came into Northwestern Mutual for the same purposes you did, but I'm going against the same things that you're saying that we should be going against. So I really want to say this to everyone, talk to you, your team. I just want to get in contact with you to go out for lunch or something and pick your brain and see how I can be a benefit to my people the same way you are.
Nah, that's a great point. And what I hope this finds, because what you brought up is a very strong point, but I think the biggest mistake I made coming up was I was always looking for mentorship for those above, those are where I wanted to be. And I think that's what we all do. I think 98% of people are just like, okay, I got Humble. Okay, let me see if he can mentor me. But what happens is the people who are there are just so fucking busy. They don't have the time. So what changed my life was the side-to-side mentorship. I was like, I'm just gonna team up with people who I respect, where we're all grinding. And we're gonna pour into each other. We're gonna talk about our mistakes. We're gonna have brunch on Sundays. And that code-to-code mentorship is what changed my life. Because what happens is, once again, if you give time, all of us are all gonna rise together because we're giving each other this love. And then when we get there, we boss up. Does that make sense? So don't think about well, this person is here because they mentor me. They're not gonna pour into you. But find that person who's lateral, who has the same values and honor and drive that you have, and you'll love on each other. Because that's what you really need. And by the way, the older people trying to tell you what to do, they washed anyway. Come on, man. AI is coming. What they know? I don't even know the rappers today. I'm like, what you listen to? Oh, shit. So I think we thought we taught to reach up when we should really be reaching right here.
This has been so great. I'm gonna speak for everybody. We're very happy to have you here. This has been great. So I wrote my question down. As a fellow business owner, I'm not quite to where you are, but we're headed there. How do you identify the individuals that helped you push the gasless car, especially when you can't pay competitive salaries in the very beginning, but they see something in you, but bills are due, right? It's hard. So I would love to hear how you got your people.
That is an amazing question. And exactly. I think that is an amazing question because people always think that the CEO or the founder is the most important person. But the most important person, that's why wherever I go, he goes, the most important person is the first believer. Because that first believer ignites the mission. So you gotta find your Tony O. Tony was successful. He was in law. He was getting paid $120,000 a year. He was moving. I was mentoring him, but I said, hey, bruv, I need you right now. And by the way, I'm paying you $36,000 a year. So you're about to take a 90% pay cut. And by the way, move in with your parents. And by the way, it's 1099, so no fucking medical benefits. Don't think you can just go to a doctor. And he said, you know what, Humble? He said, okay, I believe in you, but you gotta talk to my dad about this shit.
was gonna say.
He's Nigerian, so I had to go in there and talk to his Nigerian dad about his son's moving back home. So to answer your question though, I think the most important person, don't look for many people, is find that first believer. And if you get that right, I think you off to the races. Because then you both can wear like 13 hats. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah, so Tony changed my life, man. I love him for that.
Hi, I'm Christiane. We met earlier, so good to meet you. I'm from Houston, Texas, but I live here now. So thank you so much for being here today. I used to work at BlackRock, so I have a question about, like your financial advisor approach. So you said your mission is to build generational wealth, and so how exactly are you doing that? Do you do that through like building model portfolios, or do you have a more customized approach based on each of your clients' risk tolerance?
I think it's a great question. I think it's a mixture of both. So we have we have what we believe should be the core portfolio, especially for our athletes and entertainers, because they're taking a lot of risk in their career. So once you've made the money, we got 3 rules: don't lose the money, don't lose the money, and repeat 1 then 2, right? And so we want to keep that safe. We want to win the war. Right? And then from there, depending on each family, we can then customize what they're into. Some people love venture or private equity or real estate, whatever the case may be. So then we can make sure every single person has an experience that's customized to them, but we've already won the war. Because greed will bring you to your knees. I tell people all the time, you get rich once, it's amazing. You fuck it up, try getting rich twice, it won't happen. It won't happen. It's hard to get rich twice, boy. So that's how
I'm
we
trying
do
to get
it.
rich once.
Great
I feel
question.
you.
Exactly. Get rich once and keep it. That's the goal.
How you doing? My name is Malcolm Farrell, and I'm from Jersey. I have
Jersey
my
in the
question
house.
written down. How or what's the best way to handle all of these new deals, endorsements, et cetera, for up-and-coming or new stars, whether athletes, whether it's entertainers, but I feel like there's a lot of brand partnerships, whether it's via Instagram, social media, wherever. But I feel like it's a lot of that going on. So what's your rule of thumb of like people handling all of these new things thrown at them when they're popping?
Yeah, I think the way we look at it internally is, one, what stage are you in your career, right? So if you're early, college or whatever, let's get the most money for you, but we don't want you to be tied into multi-year long deals because we don't know what you're gonna become. But then when we get past that, you're already making so much money from the team or whatever you're doing. We want equity. We don't want to be paid for services. We want to be partners. So I think that's our mantra in life. Is like, okay, where are you in your career? What do you need? But long term, we want to play the equity game, not the endorsement game.
What's going on, everyone? My name is Osamo J. Humble, real quick question.
What's up, baby?
How do you manage like survivor's remorse, right? So you got these guys who are breaking generational curses, right? And they look around and it's like family, friends, mom, dad, cousins, everyone also has their hands out, right? And to an extent, in our communities, it takes a village. So everyone kind of feels a sense of entitlement to the success.
God, that's a great question, bro. Like, okay, here's how I look at it. God, that's great because I go through the same thing. Being the first person, my family has changed the curse of poverty. I get the same. It's the first today. My phone's been ringing, so I get the same calls on the first of the month. But you have to pick who's going and who can't go. You have to. And you have to be more loyal to your future than you are to your past. Everybody can't go. So, but you do have a responsibility to the people that helped you. And everybody in this room knows who helped you. I swear to God, I know exactly who helped me, and I know exactly who hurt me. I'm not keeping score, but I know who's going and I know who can't go. So let's just have an honest conversation. You know what I mean? Like when my life changed, like I knew exactly what that first penny was gonna be spent to. My aunt who raised me after my parents died, who used to clean people's toilets, I was like, when my life changes, she will never clean a white person's toilet ever again. She's with me. I bought her a house, bought her a car. She's been retired since. So you gotta pick who's coming, right? And then two, you gotta understand that like, if you're good to these people who have been good to you, life will always be good to you. And I think people don't understand this thing, man. It's like, we all like live in this world where, especially in America, where it's like, we all just think about me, 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 me. And the thing that I would love to just share with everybody in here is, the good that you do for someone may not always come back from the person you did that good to. But that good always comes back to you. You know what I mean? So you gotta pick who you're gonna do the good for, but everybody can't go. And I don't think survivor remorse ever leaves. I think you just get wiser. So here's a that's a great question. So here's a technique I use every year, and I think it's worth it because we're in November and the new year is coming up. So every year I make 3 columns. January 1st, I make 3 columns. The first column is people who are using me that I gotta get out of my life. I swear to God, I do this every year. And I write their names down. You motherfuckers can't come. The second column is people I deeply love that I gotta spend more time with. Because we all know like life just gets the best of us. And I make that list. And then the third list I make is people I've met recently that I just want to get to know. Because I don't know where they're going to fall in those lists. But I want to at least get to know them. That first column is the longest column I write every year. So I think you have to clean house every year. And that's what I encourage all of our people to do. Just clean house every year and then pour your love into those that are pouring to you. And be there for them, and be present for them, and take care of them, because that good will come back to you, but everybody can't come. And I think those 3 columns help me every year get like my circle tighter and tighter and tighter and tighter. Is that fair to say? Great question, bro.
We got time for one more.
How's it going? I'm Devin from New Orleans. And like you said earlier, everyone in LA is everyone's so cool, but also all these people are influencers. And I didn't know if you had any visibility into the influencer market and if you think it's just a fad or are people going to be making money off of TikTok forever?
God, that's a hell of a question. Let me answer it this way. What I've found in my journey, just like speaking around the country and building this business and helping other people build their businesses and and just being around so many great people. So the people that I've seen really take it to a crazy level that I've been lucky to be alongside, whether it's Issa Rae or Charlamagne the God or Yara Shahidi or you name them. They are dialed in to what they were born to do. And what I fear is most people start to do shit that they see is working. But it's not really your dream. It's not really what you was born to do. You're like, oh shit, they flipping fucking real estate? I'm a real estate mogul. But is that really what God called you to do? Okay, well, this person's an influencer. Well, okay, is that really what your calling is? Because I promise you, I'm 37 years old, man. I started this company 16 years ago. I haven't seen someone become successful in something they're trying to hustle. Never seen it. What I see is people who are so disciplined, who are living in their truth, that eventually the world has to break for their dreams to come true. That's what I've seen. So when I see a lot of people doing this, doing that, I go, is that really what you want to do, or is it what you see working? Because there's a difference between a hustler and someone driven by a cause. And eventually, if you're just hustling, and then you meet somebody who's driven by this cause, when them two people meet, yeah, it's gonna get a little ugly. Because you're not gonna be able to, does that make sense? So what I would urge, so then the second question becomes, okay, well, Humble, what if I don't know what I want to do? That's a fair question. What if I don't know exactly what my calling is? What if I don't know exactly what I was born to do? What do I do then? What I would say is, wherever you find yourself, maybe right now you are, I'm just making things up, maybe right now you are a writer at a block site, or you are selling insurance for Enterprise Rent-A-Car, or you working at Wells Fargo as a bank teller, whatever, you know that's not the shit you want to do. Wherever you find yourself, just be the fucking best at that shit. Be the fucking best. Like, I don't give a fuck. Like, just be the best at whatever you find yourself. Because what happens is, now you got this muscle memory of just being a killer, or just being a killer. And one day that thing's gonna come to you. Oh, okay. This is what I wanna do. And then when you pivot, you're gonna kill it. But why did you kill it? Because you have this muscle memory of just being a killer. But a lot of people think they can turn it off. They can just turn it on. I'm lazy at work. I show up late. I'm trying to get paid the most I can for the least amount of pay. And then one day, I'm gonna figure out my dream, and I'm gonna be able to turn it on. You will not be able to turn it on. Because first you form habits, and then habits form you. So if you know in your heart what you were born to do, you're lucky. Do that. Because the worst day at doing something you love is better than the best day doing something you hate. So let's do that. But if you don't know, wherever you find yourself, I don't give a fuck if you're a bartender, be the best fucking bartender this motherfucker's ever seen. Because you're building this like muscle memory. And what I found, in closing is like, when you don't have an honest mirror, you don't have a great gauge at like your work ethic, and you don't have the right gauge at your talent level. And what I've met, when I meet people around the world, around the country, is they think they work hard because they're the hardest working person in this circle. Yeah, okay. These niggas playing Madden, you up, okay. That's not what's gonna help. So you gotta realize your work ethic, man, and you gotta take that up to be world class. And then because you're honest about your work ethic, then you're honest about your talent. So then you start to invest in yourself and get better and better and better. Because like I said first thing earlier, the destiny of your life is waiting for you. You know what I mean? So I think you can do whatever you are destined to do. But if you want to be I meet a lot of people, they're like, yo, I'm hustling. I got this, I got this, I got this, I got this. I could be wrong, because I've been wrong before, but I've never seen someone really amass a certain level of wealth by being just like this like jack of all trades, but not a master of none. Because here's the realest thing I want to say. You only get paid based on how great you are at your profession. Like, because when you become great at what you do, you become rare. When you become rare, you can charge whatever you want to charge because you're rare and people are going to value that skill set. So the average teacher may make $40,000 a year, I don't know. But the teacher that then became like incredibly disciplined in that science, then wrote a book, then became a professor, then that teacher is a multimillionaire. So it's not what you do, it's how rare you are at what you do. You know what I mean? Like, I'm a certified financial planner by trade, and I think the average certified financial planner makes $76,000 a year. I wouldn't get out of bed for that. But we have the same title, right? But how rare is what you do? And I think the only way you can become rare at something is by being like an inch wide and a mile deep. You know, and so for me, you know, the first question I would ask is, okay, is this what I'm born to do? Because we all know people who one day they're influencers, the next day they're doing real estate, the next day they're selling insurance, and the only thing they're doing is wasting time. I'm like, Jesus Christ, last time I saw you, you were selling me a whole life policy. Now you flipping homes? So I've just never seen it. And I think we all get lost in this shit. And I'll say this in closing. We're living in a time right now where everybody wants to be so visible. Like, this social media shit, dog, has gotten so crazy to people's heads that they think their value is in the people that follow them. They think their value is in what they post, all these things. None of that shit is real. Like, I think if you want to be successful at whatever you're doing, you want to be present enough where you're welcomed. And you want to be absent enough where you missed. Because the more common you are, the more common you are.
Come on, you gonna say that again?
I'm telling you.
Yeah. Everyone, please give it up for Humble Lukanga. I don't know about y'all, but I'll definitely be rolling the tape out from this one. But you Humble, you shared a lot about your mission and getting people to galvanize around you and what you're doing at Lifeline Financial. I want to give a shout out to the folks who've been here since the first event that we've done. This is the third one now. And if you look around, I would like to congratulate the team, like Austin, Kenny, DJ Ash. Where's she at? Oh, you're right here. Okay. DJ A-List. First of all, she in the background. Hey, what's up? She's actually a founder as well. So if you guys, Why Not, non-alcoholic wine beverage, please check that out as well. But thank you guys so much for coming here tonight. This is the third one. We're gonna be doing more of these at Soho Warehouse. We got actually another one coming up in December. I know you mentioned you just gave us a knock on Instagram, but follow us on We Break Bread for the next event. No, it's all love. Thank you so much to Soho House and the team for putting this all together and for allowing us to use this space for Humble to bless us with his words. And Humble, last but not least, thank you so much for being here tonight.
Grateful.
Man.
Thanks for having me.
The last part of this evening is my second favorite piece besides listening to great guests like Humble. We call it Breaking Bread, which is another opportunity for DJ A-List to play some phenomenal tunes. But then everybody else as well to just get a chance to know each other. We're pretty intentional about introducing yourself and where you're from instead of what company you work at, what your title is. And so I hope to share that message as well as you get a chance to meet people at this event that you may have not met before. So again, blessings so much for you all to make it out here this evening. If you're at Afrotech, Kenny and I will be there as well, so make sure you guys say what's up. I love you guys. Have a good rest of your evening.